Hello there, and welcome to A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. And today, I am once more veering into British independent kitchen sink drama. I am getting to that point now where I'm starting to think I might need to put a playlist together that I cover so many of these, and they're so different from each other and yet they still feel like they need to be grouped together. Because today's film is the 2016 drama My Feral Heart. And this is a demonstration very much in the same manner as Mike Leach. When I talked about... Was it Mike Leach or Mike Lee? Mike Lee. When I talked about Vera Drake and how Mike Lee's style is more about the representation of people and interactions and creating natural environments than it is about the story. There is a story there, and it is to be told. It's not just filming actors improvising. There is a narrative. But once the narrative has sort of been put in place, it's more about just allowing an environment to organically develop around the broader ideas. And what Jane Gold achieves with this, and it is genuinely remarkable, is that she focuses on quite a difficult subject matter, which is the representation of a lead character with Down syndrome, played by an actor with Down syndrome. And it's incredibly, of course, it's a subject matter that isn't often talked about. I've already mentioned in several videos before how the representation of the differently abled is still something that needs further examination within cinema, and the way we treat it and represent it still requires refinement. But the way that this story is told, and it's, again, like I said, it's a very simplistic story. It's very much about characters and actors and allowing scenes to naturally be presented to us. I mean, the story is very simple. It's about this boy named Luke, who, as I've said, a man, has Down syndrome. His mother dies fairly early on, and he's taken to a care facility. And that's frankly it. It's about the way in which someone like this character, who had a sense of stability, had his mother, had a consistent relationship, had his place in the community where people just accepted him in spite of his difficulties, and yet once that framework, once that network is taken away from him, how he has to find his place, and yet can't. He really, he's taken to a facility that is perfectly suited to him, around people with similar or comparable needs to his, and yet he just doesn't fit in there. He doesn't have a place there. And what I appreciate about this, and where this... I've talked about Ken Loach and the way in which he does British independent cinema, and the way that he tells these incredibly beautiful and heartbreaking stories that are both personal but also filled with commentary. But with Ken Loach, it's a lot about making big statements, and he wants, particularly in his more recent films, or let's say more recent, probably over the last decade, it's been about making statements about the system and about the ways in which individuals who are just trying to live their normal lives are undermined or crushed under a cruel or emotionless system. And yes, that has its place, but what I appreciate about this is that it isn't trying to make a grand statement about the care system. The care system is presented as perfectly functional, perfectly caring. The lead actress who plays a character called Eve, who is sort of the person who primarily takes care of Luke or sort of deals with him. And again, she's competent, sweet-natured, genuinely cares about this man who she's just trying to help out. And it's not supposed to be a criticism of the care industry. It is simply that this is a character who doesn't feel that he has a place here. And so therefore he connects more to the wilderness, and there's this whole thing about him, going to these fields and finding animals that he bonds with, because, as the title suggests, there is something wild about him, that he had a certain sense of freedom in his life before that he feels he's losing. And what I appreciate about the film is that it doesn't try to explain things in huge amounts of dialogue. It doesn't try to present a particularly complex portrayal of that. It just allows itself to quietly follow this character. As I say, there's something quite Mike Leigh about it. I'm fairly confident many of the scenes are improvised. And a lot of the film is very quiet. There isn't a lot of dialogue. You have whole sections where he's alone, or he's talking to foxes, or he's just quietly contemplating. And what I appreciate about that as well is the fact that it demonstrates the ability of an actor who, as I say, this is an actor with Down syndrome playing a character with Down syndrome. And I'm fairly confident I've talked about this before, but there is this big conversation about the art of acting and the way that it rubs against representation. And the idea that, on the one hand, acting should be acting, and so therefore actors should have the right to push to play characters that are not just simply themselves. And the actors go to great lengths to try and embody many different people and different lifestyles and different difficulties that they may not have. And when it's done well, that should be appreciated and acknowledged. And so when you have, say, actors who play the differently abled, it's not something that should be attacked or punished, because, again, it is acting, it is performance. But on the other hand, the other side of that is that I appreciate that, that if we have actors who are differently abled, I speak as one myself, and they can only play a certain reduced range of characters, and, for instance, say an actor like Stephen Brandon, who would find it difficult to play characters outside, greatly different than his circumstances, and then the opportunities are taken away because there are actors who are perfectly able taking those roles. It's a shame, because an actor like this one has ability and deserves the opportunity to perform and present his skills, because he is an excellent actor. He performs this role so well. And like I say, this is one of those cases of an internalized, the thing which I have criticized before, but a deeply internalized performance, where it's a lot about, a character not expressing, and a character trying to process internally all the changes going on around them, but in a very micro, intimate way. And I genuinely think he does that excellently. And I think, as I say, it's a shame if an actor like that doesn't get the opportunity to perform roles like this, because genuinely is quite touching to see this character and what he goes through and the emotional journey that he goes through. And like I said, there is some plot, and there are certain things that they put in place so that it's not just uh, almost like a biopic, like a memoir character piece. There are plot points, and some of them work quite well. There's another boy who is currently serving community service, and he develops a friendship with Luke, and he has his own story. And again, it's not overly complex, and it is just more. It's more about watching their friendship organically grow as we sort of question, well, yeah, what happened in this boy's life? And as I say, it does build to a climax. There is an ending that has some drama to it. But as I say, I don't think that's really what it's about. Because there are plot beats and things that are laid early on to do with Luke's health, the fact that he has a congenital heart condition that he discovers quite early on, and immediately you think, okay, so that's going to come into play in the third act. And those sorts of plot beats, they're there, they allow the action to have some direction, but as I say, this is more about the characters, and it is more about just watching these people almost slice of lifestyle. Like I say, very Mike Lee, just learn and grow and develop relationships, and it's a genuinely sweet film. Yeah, so I do think this is one worth watching. As I say, this is a perspective we don't get a lot of light on, and I think for that alone it deserves attention. But I think on top of that, it really is well done for such a small. It's not a particularly long film. It's about 75 minutes, and it is just this very sweet story. Anyway, thank you for joining me. If you like this video, hit the like button, comment below, and share the video to help me in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell to get notifications of when new videos are uploaded, and check out my back catalogue of over 150 videos. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan_Woodley, where I'm always tweeting about TV shows and films, and I share these videos once I've uploaded them to YouTube either the day of or the day after. Thank you for joining me. Take care.